Well, good morning, Thomas. We have a guest.
Morning, Sally. How you doing?
Pretty good. Landon is in the house. Hi, Landon.
Hello, how y'all doing today?
Hey, we're
Glad
doing
y'all,
great. Um,
glad y'all had me
Today,
on.
well, we're happy to have you on. You're our very first guest. Could be our last if they take us off the air. Who knows?
Well, if it's the
Landon, on
last,
Tuesdays,
I'm
we're
gonna take it personal if it's the last.
all
Yeah,
right. Well, we're gonna blame it
it'll
on you anyway.
it'll be Sally's fault. Everybody knows that.
Yeah. Well, Landon, on Tuesdays, we're planning on interviewing people about just chatting with them. Interview sounds so formal, about a number of different things. And what's been on my mind, I guess, is how how a person's relationship with whatever platform you're on. In my case, it's eBay, changes as your life changes and you discover that some things are more important than eBay, and in some cases nothing's more important than eBay. So back me up a little bit. When did you start selling, and what was your motivation?
I started on eBay about 6 years ago. Um, really just wasn't happy with never been happy really with the 9 to 5. It's like I always worked hard. I never was like I didn't go in with a bad mood or anything like that, but it just I just really wanted to make my own. I wanted to have my own schedule, which can be a gift and a curse depending on, I think, your upbringing and stuff. I wasn't really structured, so it actually really bit me in the butt, so to speak. Like, actually, once I got in the group, I really realized how bad it was. Instead of having the mindset coming into it saying like, oh, I can make my own schedule, I came in with the mindset as I don't have to have a schedule. And I'm realizing that now, which it's really like such a benefit to just kind of be honest with myself and saying some people might be able to wing the day and it works. With me, the more I can structure and schedule my day, the more I'm just not all over the place. I think that's going to
In,
vary by different people, but it's so now I have a different mindset. It used to be I don't have, this is awesome, I don't have to have a schedule. And now the more mature I get, and you get yourself in the hole one too many times and you realize, okay, this is cool, this is still what I want to do, but you have to have, now I can make it's not that I don't have to have a schedule, but I can make my own schedule based
So you're
around my lifestyle.
so you're 6 years into this, you said, right?
Right.
So when did that realization kind of hit?
Honestly, probably really once I got in the group. I think it was lingering there, honestly, but I think I just wanted to ignore it. Or the other thing might just been that I thought that my art was going to replace it. But the problem was I really didn't have the business entrepreneur mindset. I had the talent, the God-given creative skill, and to do the art side. And I've always been into fashion and clothing, so I had that side for the eBay. But I seem to neglect really the guts and the foundation of the business. So probably maybe just not very necessarily when I got in the group. So let's say I've been selling for 6 years. I've been in the group for just a couple months, but I did start to really see, this is maybe what brought me to the group, was that, no wonder the art hasn't taken off. I'm scratching my head like, but it's kind of like you got to play the lotto to win it. I'm like, man, I haven't done anything with the art, but I literally hadn't done anything with the art. How could I expect it to go anywhere?
are you planning
But
on incorporating the art element of your life? I know you're very passionate about your art. Are you going to plan on kind of dealing that into your day in terms of commitment for selling? Are you planning? What are your plans with your art?
I might try to. I would like to. I really feel like I have the skill and the personality to build the Instagram, build the TikTok, the YouTube, and bring my own people. I know that's not going to happen in a day, but I do feel like I have that skill. So I would like to, whether I have to use an eBay to kind of as like a crutch to gauge what my art might be worth before that following. I might use it as like kind of a stepping stone to my own.com. But, I definitely basically realized that, okay, kind of once I started re-listening to Chris, I met Chris years ago, and it really just, I had hit the point where I realized I needed to rebuild the foundation of the eBay. So I basically was like, I'm going to restart this from scratch, whole new mindset. That's about the time I jumped in the group. And I really just put, even though I wasn't doing a lot of art at the time, I still put all art on hold because I knew, I'm like, look, eBay is, bringing me money today. So I'm going to totally rebuild this. And I'm going to take how I rebuild that foundation, I'm going to do it right from a business mindset. And I'm going to implement that into my art after I've rebuilt, the eBay, so to speak, kind of re-poured the foundation and let that cure, let it do its thing. And then I'm going to take what I've learned from the group, from the reselling, and kind of implement that into my art,
Well,
So
Landon, if I could snap my fingers and take you ahead 2 years, in relation to your life, what portion of it would be taken up with, would you hope to split between eBay and your entrepreneurial plans with your art?
Well, I do. If it was just me, I would say, 50-50. We'll just go there because like I do know that I could really thrive on eBay. They've been working on bringing us customers since 1995, is it? I mean, they really have a lot of opportunity there. And but I also do have a son that's 13 that's very into fashion and, kind of trends and stuff. So,
Is he
I
the
like
one
to,
that's been kind of fooling around with eBay a little bit? Has he like listed, or is he the shoe kid?
he's helped me with photos, a couple things. He'll come out and help just pick items to ship, nothing that major, but he's just now starting to really like getting money. He's starting to go, oh, I like to have a little money in my pocket. So I think in the next, 2 years, he'll really be helping me more and more on a day-to-day basis,
That would be
around.
nice if he could take some of the load off of your plate, so then you could switch your
Yeah,
emphasis to your promoting your art.
so I
so that's kind of what I was going to say. Instead of 50-50, maybe I can make it, 60-40, and because he would be pulling, some of that percentage of weight for me.
it sounds it's a really this whole scheduling thing and trying to be productive around it is really an interesting topic because you've kind of discovered how important it is. I definitely have discovered how important it is. And the more schedule that I have, the better I do. And I'm very much tied to eBay just because, I'm financially dependent on it. Meanwhile, Sally over there has said multiple times that what she loves about eBay is the fact that she doesn't have to have a schedule, the fact that she can be flexible with it. Which is interesting because Sally is not killing it on the eBay front, but she's definitely going for it. And I think now that you have not now that you have, but you have a 13-year-old who's getting interested in it, and you're definitely a role model for him. So do you think that you being you perhaps having a bigger schedule, being more focused on two things, particularly eBay and art, how much do you think that could really help both yourself and him and kind of not only take a load off of your shoulders, but kind of give him a real sense of belonging and confidence that he can do the same thing you are?
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, I'll say you can until you lead by example. I know we all like to tell our kids, for those that have children, it's like you always tell them, don't do this bad habit that you're watching me do, and it's like it's easy to think that they're going to take that in, and you should not say it, because with that mindset of, oh, whatever, they're going to do it anyways, I'm not going to waste my time. You're still going to do it, but the quicker you can lead by example and actually be doing it. I've been really focused on just having a good diet. It's funny, people see that I'm thin and you tell them, I'm working on a diet, and they like laugh. They're like, a diet? It's like, look, all diets not just for lose. There's diets for different stuff. I just want to feel better. I want to be more, energetic through the day and have more energy, more stamina. And I've been trying to promote good eating to him for years, like any parent should or would, and he's still grabbing all the crap stuff out of the pantry. Well, in just the last 2 weeks that I've really eaten healthy, he's he's still going to some of the sweets and stuff, but I've found that he has like started to eat without me even telling him to do it. He's just naturally done it just by watching me do it, and it's like
That's
really.
interesting. You say that about him and food, but you're also have referred to the fact that you began improving your pattern for selling when you began associating or observing people doing it correctly. I know, and I have too. I am a process person. I love the process. And selling is kind of like the cherry on top. But to me, the selling indicates how well my processes are. And I've been struggling a whole bunch. Thomas is really been helpful to me. Don't ever tell him I said this. But and I wanted to mention this. You were one of the very first people who stepped up when I said, I have these shoes. I don't know what to do with them. We spent probably an hour on the phone. And I love the fact that you didn't give me the answers, although you would have. You helped lead me through to how to solve the problem myself. And, so you notice I haven't called back and said, hey, what do I do with these shoes? You really gave me a good path, and I do appreciate it. Thomas just busts my chops constantly for buying crud and then complaining because my average cost of sale is low. So the associating with people who you do want to emulate, it's very powerful.
Yeah, I like how you brought it back to the group there. But yeah, actually seeing people like the whole theory of tech not overthinking stuff, I know people are like, oh, I go to tech store like occasionally, like they act like they're in there all the time doing research. I went to tech store one time. I bet I spent 3 minutes in his store and went, oh, just like Chris was talking about in the morning call, like he was trying to kind of gauge on why he liked text pictures. And I immediately knew because I had experienced that. I went there one time. Now I get it. Some people might need to go back for the pricing. I kind of know that stuff. I do fall in the category of any human where you want to try to get the couple extra dollars. I think we can all fall victim to that. But when it comes to like what something's actually worth and is it trending, I feel like I have that stuff in the bag. It was the overthinking, the analysis paralysis, as cliche as that is in the reselling world. I think a lot of people deal with that. And the first time I went to his store, like I said, I think it took me 3 minutes to see the different shift in the background color. This t-shirt was just a little in the main image. This t-shirt was a little closer, and this t-shirt was a little farther back. And the second shot was the same shot, just a little crooked. And it's just like, oh wow, this guy's number one. And it's like I really realized that just overthinking is just, now you do need to probably maybe put in that extra legwork up front, learning brands and stuff like that. But already, once
That's right.
I found the group in tech and stuff, I already knew the seller hub. I knew how to run markdown sales. I knew promotions. Luckily, I kind of knew all that stuff. I've learned how to strategically use those tools a little more strategically now, but I already knew about those tools. So what he really, it was just overthinking, which has transitioned actually phenomenally into my creative side for not being the artist that it needs one more stroke. I just need, let me just dip one more time and one more paint. And a lot of times what happens then is you go, oh man, like I shouldn't have done that. And now you're having to come and fix this and fix this and fix this when it was fine. It's a creative process.
Mhm.
It shouldn't be perfect,
We
and
we
go
talked
ahead.
about that this morning, how you can actually make more money by buying fewer items and selling fewer items as long as those are better items. Um, this is very much along those same lines when it comes to diet, when it comes to reselling, when it comes to scheduling. It's all kind of, you can do more by doing less and being tighter on what you're doing. Um, And when it comes to your art, obviously you're talking about doing, doing more with doing less. Um, I know that people have asked you in the past what specific mediums you use. And I was wondering how any of these sort of things that you're learning, whether scheduling or something to do with reselling, how that has influenced whatever mediums or art you are very interested in creating.
Uh, that is the one of the double-edged swords. Like if anybody's an artist, I think they know, like, I feel like the term gift and a curse was like, it works so great for a creative artistic mind, because it really is a gift and a curse. But I think if you can really learn to, you know, pull it into something. But long story short, I do enjoy all mediums. I like the experimental, but that's kind of what's hurt me as well. So I've really just been looking at uh whatever the medium is, it's got to be something that I can uh really put a collection together. So
Landon,
whatever it is,
excuse me,
I
I'm
do.
going to interrupt you, but
Go
over
ahead.
your right shoulder, is that a piece you did? Look over
This-
your right shoulder. It looks like there's,
yes, and actually a pretty good example.
why don't you hold it up? I'm looking at it. It looks like a peace sign in the middle, which speaks to my.
Yeah, and this is actually a good example. This is actually a phenomenal example, actually, um, because this piece is constructed 100% from the ground up. It's all hand done. It's basically like kind of like a kimono style coat.
I
It's
love it.
Wow.
all hand stitched. Okay, so the thing about this, why I say this is a great example, is because for me to sell this, uh, you know, for me to actually sell this and get my money for my time and the value seem worth it, I would say I'd probably list this thing at around $1,000 and probably take a
Sure.
best offer of $750. And that would still almost hurt me. Like, to give up that piece that I've spent that time in for 750. And
You
I
got to
even
be
have,
careful. Whatever
yeah,
your
I know.
hobby is, you'll wind up having a lot of it.
Yeah, and
It's
I
hard
even
to
have, like,
was.
I have a good friend that I've talked about to y'all about, that works for Prada, and he's a buyer. And it's funny, when I had just told my wife I had given her about that gauge of pricing, and when I showed him that piece the other day, he said, "Man, I think he said I'd price that around 900 and I'd take 750." He was right there in that price point. He gets it.
Mhm.
So, but that's not feasible. It's one thing if I really had a million followers, you know,
Or if you
on
could
each,
mass produce, or if you were interested
right,
in mass
right.
produce.
But for a one-off piece like that, I really need a million, maybe not a million,
A
because let's be
bunch.
real, 100,000 is pretty solid. That's a lot of fans. But at that point, I might actually be able to get 5, 6, 700 for an individual piece. But I'm not a nobody, but in the art world, I don't have followers like that. So I really had to start thinking of, how can I do this stuff? And instead of doing one that took me 2 weeks, how could I do actually maybe 10 to 20 of these in a day, something like this? So something like that, instead of feeling like I need to rebuild this whole structure, that thing's built from the ground up, basically out of blue jean pants and old vintage corduroys and old vintage military pants. Uh, so I realized, okay, I could take a Carhartt that's already been cut and ready to go, and I can just embellish on that, just the
Sure.
upcycling of something. So that's a good example of uh like kind of what medium I do, whatever it is, like, not try to do it and not try to reinvent the wheel. So just like Chris
It's
said this morning, just take the wheel's already done. Just there's the wheel, just the tire, throw a rim on it and make it look good.
it's so easy to be squirrel brained in everything in life. There's, the grass always green on the other thing, and Instagram, and will teach you that. I think one of the greatest things that I've learned over the last, I don't know, year, 2 years, is just niching down. And it sounds like art, especially when it comes to your art, is exactly the same. My mom loves to do pottery, and I had a hard time choosing between pottery and stained glass. And then the last year was like, I'm done. Like, I'm just not going to do any stained glass. Like, I'm going to get rid of all of it, and, it's going to give it all to my brother because he likes doing it. But do you feel like having a schedule in combination with kind of picking one kind of art, do you think that's something that you'd have to work up towards? Is it something you want? Is it something that you feel is even like reasonable?
Yeah, and I do think so. I do think you need to be strategic, like, obviously. I do think it's a fine line in giving people something creative that you've had your hands on without thinking you're a Picasso,
Mhm.
and like I said, I think that can shift as you build followers. But I think as a new artist, like even the sending out gifts to people, I know I asked Chris that in the YouTube call the other day, and he said, like, I don't think you have to do that. And I think if you're being a reseller, you're doing resale content, that's probably not going to help much for you. But I think if you're an artist and you can send a free piece to somebody, it's still going to be a gamble. They might go,
especially if they'll feature it on, a couple things as we kind of wrap this up. First of all, I'm excited to see, I know you have a website, but you don't have it populated yet. I'm excited to watch that. One thing that I've thought about as you two were talking is Thomas brought up the point one time that he read somewhere that a profitable or successful endeavor of any kind needs at least two people, a hacker and a hustler, and someone that does the interfacing with the public side and someone who does the process side. And for us, that's him and me. But the process side of me would never have would never have posted a video until I thought it was perfect. The other side of this partnership said, just put it up, Sally, just put it up. So I hope that two things: follow us. I mean, watch us. We're making all the mistakes that you don't have to make when you start, and we're trying to be very transparent in our videos about it. That we're confused, we're made a mistake, but use the same strength that you got from a group of people doing reselling. Use the strength of those who might be one or two steps ahead of you and doing a YouTube channel. There's a lot to it, but you've got a lot of help, and you've got a lot of support. There are a whole bunch of us that will be very interested in watching you develop the artistic side as we watch you reap the benefits of establishing a more cohesive schedule for the selling side.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And if you remember, I called you almost immediately after when you all did your first videos, and
You
I
did.
think one of the first things I told you was how the vulnerability of you all. I mean, how many people, especially talking like younger children of this generation, how many of them want to be YouTubers, but that's as far as it's ever going to go. Oh, I'd like to be a YouTuber, but they're never going to turn their camera on and just go for it. Just like take that first step. And it's funny, I think, as daunting as that seems, I feel like it's once you get over that, I feel like it's almost like, oh, you're in this open field and it's like you can just run
It's
free.
like jumping into a swimming pool. You don't know if it's going to be warm or cold, but you're never going to know till you jump in. So
yeah, but honestly, your all's vulnerability though on those videos, I think that's one thing that really helped me just go, you know what? Let me get a couple more things in this eBay going. I've just lately been going to source at the bins. That alone, I'll be able to do my whole week in one day, one day of sourcing. So like stuff like that, I'm going ahead and like getting that stuff in the bag. I'm taking care of that before I break off too early, because that's what's got me every time. But the vulnerability of you all setting everything up on the fly and working it out as you go, that's been really inspiring. So like for somebody that's thinking, oh, it's not going to be perfect. Like, yeah, that's what's probably going to make people watch. I think if you're
just do it. It's like running. Get out. The hardest part is opening the door and getting out that front door. So
yep. Yes, it is.
do it with, oh, hi, Pickles. Do it with, I love that dog. Do the same thing with YouTube. And I can't tell you how much we appreciate you being our very first guest. And when you get your website, begin to populate it, come on back and let's talk. We'd love to follow up. Anyway,
Yeah,
why
yeah,
don't you hang
I
around for
appreciate
a
it.
minute?
I'm good. I will. Yeah, I'm glad y'all had me on. I'm glad, I really was looking forward to it when you called me, and I said, when? You said today. I was like, "Well, let's make it happen."
That's another thing. If we were to say next Thursday, who knows what would have gotten in our way? But if we say today, it's going to
Do it.
happen.
Yeah,
Landon, hang around. I think our time's about up here, but I'd love to talk to you some more. So hang around after the chat on here. And again, thank you so much. Thomas and I carefully chosen someone we thought would be perfect, and you were. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Landon.
all right, thank you all. It was a good time.